Men want children like children want pets. I saw that on TikTok and the accuracy blew my mind. Now, before the men start, it's not all men, but it's a lot of men, and it's a lot of men that think it's not them as well. So a lot of men see fatherhood in the sense of it's something, their legacy, something that belongs to them, something that they, are proud of, are loving of. But then when it comes to the core labor, the mental load, they approach it in the way that young children approach having pets. They don't think about what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis. They don't think about the daily effort it takes to keep that thing alive well. They don't think about the strain, the mental load that the person who's looking after the pet on a day-to-day, on a more intricate basis is under, has to think about, has to consider. When children see pets, they just see all the fun side of it, the cute side, the, good you go, my pet. Whereas anyone who's owned a pet knows there's so much labor there's so much thought that goes into it. There's so much cost that can go into it. And I'm not saying that men don't pay for their kids. A lot of men do pay for their kids, but a lot of men don't. A lot of men have the mentality like children do with pets, that if for any reason something's not going wrong, they can just discard their children. They can walk out of their children's life. I can't tell you how many men have said, they don't see their kids because the kids' mums make it hard. Side note, are you well? Because I don't care what men say. There is no day when a man will say to you he did not collect his salary from work, his money that's owed to him, because someone is making it hard for him. By hell or by high fire, that man's find a way to get that money. Use that same energy for your children. Men will tell you they're not looking after their kid because they didn't want the kid and it was the woman's choice to push out the baby. First of all, kids are conceived from sex. I don't know where this narrative is coming from. Once you have put your penis into a woman and ejaculated, you are consenting to have a child. If you do not want that, celibacy is an option. That is where your choice and your decision in the matter comes in. So stop acting like you don't have a choice. Celibacy is a choice. It has been a choice since the dawn of day. You are not exempt from responsibility because when you made the bad decision, it's now not in your hands to reverse it. Because shall I tell you what has a zero risk? Not having the sex. But anyway, I digress, as I often do. But men will say, it wasn't their choice, so they don't have to look after their child. I promise you now, if you tried to give a man 100K that he didn't earn, he wouldn't say, I didn't work for this, I don't want to take it. Hand out. But aside from a scolding of the men, this is a gentle reminder to women that the load for children will fall on your lap, inevitably. Even if you have the most supportive partner, the genetic components that are on you as a woman will mean that you will carry, at least for the early years, the bulk of the child rearing. The way that society has been set up for mothers to be the primary caretaker will mean that you will carry the bulk of the child rearing. I still to this day do not understand why fathers get 2 weeks paternity leave. Who is supposed to take care of the child after that? What? There's this assumption of society that the burden of child rearing should fall on the mother, which I don't agree with. And everyone knows, I always say, baby, if I get with a man, I'm with a man, my husband, but in an alternative reality, if I got with a man and we had a baby and me and that man are not together, he is going to be the primary caretaker. I don't care what anyone says. If there is nothing wrong with being a non-custodial parent, because men do it all the time, that's fine. That's the lane I want to be in. And to be honest, I encourage more women to do this. I encourage more women to allow men to feel the burden of child rearing, because then maybe they would be less dismissive about how heavy that load is. I read the other day a Reddit about a man who was with his wife and she was the primary breadwinner. He did not work. And he was getting annoyed that she was calling him a house husband and, praising him for being her house husband and, taking care of things in the house. And he was really irritated by it. And it made me realize just how little value men put on housewives and mothers and stay-at-home mothers and wives. And I think the reason they put so little value on it is because they don't and cannot relate to that experience, because they don't have to do that work on a day-to-day. And looking at it from the outside in, it probably seems easier than it actually is, because to them, making money is the work. Which, yes, that is work, and I completely, salute men who go out and make money for their families. But I would argue that the harder work is raising children, especially when you have multiple. And a lot of women do that and still work and still carry the majority of the domestic burden. So all of that to say, women, before you have children, think about it. Think about if this is what you really want. Think about if you're wanting and willing and ready to do the amount of work it takes to be a mother. I think this is a conversation that we do not have enough. We, as in my case, the older generation, but also as people who are already mothers who have gone through the experience, need to speak on more on the burdens and challenges of motherhood, because I think motherhood has been so successfully marketed into this like Disney princess fairy tale. And in reality, it's quite the opposite. It's such hard work, often with, in this baby mama culture at least, very little support from the father of the child or children. So think for yourself. Don't let anyone think for you. Don't let the judgment of men control the decision that you make for your life, especially an irreversible decision like motherhood. And also, don't ever think you can use a child to trap a man, because, baby, the only person you will trap is yourself. Now, like I always say, there's always an exception to the rule for best results.
In love with the idea of having children, not raising them. And that is two different conversations, because when a child gets here, they realize that actually the child is maintenance. And sometimes they are the one doing the trapping. You would think that women do the trapping, but they know that just how much a child can slow you down. A child slows down a woman. It slows down your ability to excel, your ability to even build a career, your ability to just develop yourself, because all your energy and focus goes to that child. And that's why they can tap in whenever they want. They can consent to having the child and be like uncles, In South Africa, they do uncles better than they would do fathers, because a father is a full-time job, is a full-time responsibility, a full-time catering thing, that uncles, you just know that even if you don't show up, they know, it's uncle won't show up. But as a father, you're consistently on clock, like you're held accountable. On top of that, children do see the inconsistencies of parent, which one is lacking and which one isn't. Like, the more you keep on disappointing a child, they can see you say you want to do it and you don't. Child gets disappointed. You said you're going to pick them up and go shopping, you don't. You say, and it gets to the point that your child just be like, no, like, you are not consistent in my life. I can see that you are the problem. You're the problem, you are actually the one thing in my life that fathered me accidentally, you see. So I don't know, guys, let me know. If it's not all men, let me know how's your father. I know my father is a good man. He fathered us well. But again, I digress. To each his own.